So the story we're going to read today is called Ant Cities, right here. All right, this is the front cover, this is the spine, and this is the back cover. On the spine, we have the title, Ant Cities, the name of the author, and also the publishing company, which is the company that makes the book. On the front cover, we have our title, Ant Cities. We have the illustrator and the author's name, Arthur Dorris. So he does both. He's the one who wrote the story, and also he's the one who drew the pictures. And finally, we have the illustration. So we see two little boys here looking at ants and the ant hill right here. All right, are you ready? Let's begin. Ant cities. Have you ever seen ants busy running over a hill of dirt? They may look like they're just running around, but the ants built that hill to live in, and each ant has work to do. So here are the children looking at the ants as they're working and going into the ant hill. So here, that little black hole, that's the entrance or the door to go into their home. And you also see some ants carrying some food back into their home. Some ants may disappear into a small hole in the hill. The hole is the door to their nest. These are called harvester ants. Their nest is made of many rooms and tunnels. These little insects made them all. All right, so the harvester ants are the ones that make their home. They're the ones that make the ant city. Wow, look at that. Underneath the hill, there may be miles and miles of tunnels and hundreds of rooms. The floors are smooth because thousands of little ant feet walk on them every day. Inside, it is very dark because there is no light inside. But the ants stay cozy, meaning that they stay nice and warm and safe inside this ant hill. So when it is a sunny day, the top of the nest gets really warm because the sun is shining, so it's very, very warm at the top. When it is a rainy day, the water from the rain runs off the hill, and so some of the rooms inside the anthill might get flooded by water. So if it gets too wet near the top of the nest, then the ants just have to go further down below, in the rooms below, to not get in contact with the water. And if it is a snowy day, or when it is winter and it's very cold, the ants go deep, deep down into the room away from the cold, where they will stay together in a ball to keep warm. So if you see over here, the ants are all squished up together into a big, big ball, like they're giving a big hug to each other to stay nice and warm when it's cold outside. In the rooms of the nest, worker ants do many different kinds of work. It is like a city, a busy city of ants. Some ants have brought in food to the ant city. These harvester ants like to eat seeds, so des graines. A worker ant here cracks the husk off the seeds. So on seeds, they usually have a hard shell. So these worker ants are taking the hard shell off of the seeds. Another worker ant will take the husks outside to throw away. So once they take the hard shell off the seeds, some other ants take the little shells off and they throw them outside of the hill. The ants chew the seeds to get the juices out. So then we have some other ants, they chew. Okay, they don't eat it, but they chew on it to get the juices out of the seeds. And then they feed the juices to other ants, and then they give the juice to other ants so they can have some food to eat. Other workers store seeds for the ants to eat another time. So There are other ants, they take the seeds, they don't eat them right away, but they put them in other rooms to keep them. Like for example, in the winter time when it's difficult to find food, they'll have a storage of food that they can eat from. Not all ants store food, but harvester ants do. All right, so everyone has a different job. In one room of the nest, a queen ant lays eggs. The workers carry the eggs away to another room to take care of them. Each ant city has at least one queen. Without a queen, there would be no ant city. All the other ants in the ant city grow from the eggs that the queen lays. So the queen is a very important person, or very important ant, because she's the one who lays all the eggs, and all the ants come from those eggs. So how do they grow? Well, at first, the tiny little eggs grow into larvae or larvae. The worker ants feed the larvae and lick them clean so that they will grow well. So here they're licking them to clean them so that they can grow up. Then the larvae grow into pupae, or we can say pupae. The workers keep on cleaning the pupae until they grow into adults. So eggs to larvae to pupae, or one egg, one larva, and one pupa. The queen lays thousands and thousands of eggs, so that's many eggs. Most of the eggs grow into worker ants. So here are the worker ants. They're the ones that do all the work in the city. There may be only one queen in an ant city, but there can be many workers. So the queen ant is usually bigger than the other ants, and she lays eggs. And when she lays the eggs, they can grow into 3 different types of ants. Number 1, they can grow into worker ants. And worker ants are all females, meaning that they're all girls. They do all the work in the ant city, and they also fight to protect the nest if there's something wrong. Then we have some new queens. New queens have wings, and they use the wings to fly away to start a new ant city somewhere else. And when they start a new ant city, then their wings fall off, and then the queen stays in the city, in her own city, to lay eggs. And the last type of ant that we have are the males, which are the boys. Now, the male ants don't live in the nest for long. They fly away, they also have wings, and they fly away to find a new queen to make babies with. And after they make babies, then they die. The queen doesn't tell the workers what to do, but the workers are busy. Each ant has work to do. Ants work together to keep the whole city alive. So here, you see everyone has a job to do. Over here, the ants are digging new tunnels. Here, they're carrying dirt out of the nest. So once they dig the tunnels, they have to take all the dirt and put them outside. Here is the winter room. It's the room where all the ants go to when it's cold outside, and they don't want to be too close to the top because it's cold, so they go all the way to the bottom. Here they have some worker ants who are resting. They're taking a little nap or taking some time off because they've been working so hard. Over here, the ants are sharing food. Here they are storing seeds. So they took some of the seeds and they put them in these rooms so that in the winter they have something to eat. Here the ants are carrying the shells or the husks of the seeds and throwing them away outside. Other ants are bringing in food. Here is the queen laying eggs, and the workers are helping her with the little baby eggs. Here it's the worker ant who is carrying the eggs and taking care of them. Same here. Here are the worker ants with the larvae. And here are the worker ants with the pupae. So they're always taking care of those eggs and the larvae and the pupae and making sure they grow into healthy big ants, okay? And outside, we see the ants over here. They're collecting seeds and looking for food. And here, the other queen ants and the males, the boys, are flying off to find other queen ants to make babies with. So you see, everyone has a different job. Workers make the nest bigger by digging new rooms and tunnels. They use their feet to dig like tiny little dogs. Workers pick up pieces of dirt in their jaws and beards and carry them outside. So they dig, and then they dig the dirt. They have to take them outside to put them outside as garbage. Dirt from the digging is what makes the anthill. Ants are great diggers and builders. Imagine all the tiny pieces of dirt it takes to build a hill 2 feet high. Harvester anthills can be 2 feet high and 6 feet across. So you see the little boy is taking a ruler and measuring how tall and how wide the anthill is. Okay. Many other ants build smaller hills. Out around the harvester anthill, workers look for food. Harvester ants mostly eat seeds, but sometimes they eat insects too. Ants can bite and sting other insects to capture them and to protect themselves. Be careful because some kinds of ants can bite or sting you too, like red ants. Harvester ants will bite or sting if you disturb their nest. So you need to be very careful because ants, they can sting you, especially red ants. And I've gotten stung by red ants before and it really, really hurt because I stepped on one of them by accident and then his friends were not very happy. So we said that the harvester ants mostly eat seeds, but they can also eat insects too. So that's what's happening over here. There's a grasshopper that's dead and the ants are coming to take it as food, okay? Ants use their antennas to help them find food. They touch and smell with their antennas. So we touch with our hands and we smell with our nose, but actually for an ant, they use their antenna over here. They can comb on legs. They use their legs to clean their antenna. And here they are cleaning their antennas with their feet. And the ants talk to each other by touching their antennas together. So here they're touching and they're talking to each other. That's how they talk instead of using their voice. If one ant finds food, others follow. Soon there will be lots of ants carrying away lunch. If one ant can't carry something, others may help. But each worker ant is strong. An ant can lift as much as 50 times its own weight. If people could lift like that, we could each lift a car. So you see, like the ants, even though they're really, really small, they can actually carry 50 times its own weight, meaning they can carry really, really heavy stuff. It's as if we could lift as much as an ant, it would be like us lifting a car. So that's how heavy they can lift something. The workers carry the food back to the ant city, and then ants share the food that they find. So here's the food that they found, and they're carrying it back to the city. Ants eat many different types of food, but different kinds of ants like different foods, and there are over 10,000 kinds of ants. So for example, Formica ants mostly eat juices that they suck from insects that they kill, so they eat the juice from different insects. Cornfield ants like to eat the sweet juices or honeydew that they get from the aphids or the aphids, which are little insects that feed on leaves. The aphids suck the juices from the plants, and then the ants take that juice from the aphids. Then carpenter ants like sweet juices that they can get from insects and from plants. Thief ants eat sweets and other food they find in people's houses and lying about. So I think it's these kind of thief ants are the ones that we see eating our food when we are having a picnic or when you're eating outside and you see them trying to eat all your sweet things. Those are called thief ants. Leaf cutting ants, or also called parasol ants, make underground gardens with leaves that they cut. They grow mushrooms in the gardens for food. So they actually grow mushrooms. They grow their own mushrooms to eat. And then army ants travel in large groups like armies. They eat a large number of insects and also eat termites. So here they are eating other insects and bringing it back to the anthill. The different kinds of ants have found many ways to make cities, so they can live in many kinds of places. Janitor ants make their nests in hollowed out twigs. So some ants make their homes in a stick, like a twig. The soldier janitor ant, a kind of worker ant, has a big plug-shaped head that it can use for a door. Okay. Many kinds of ants make hills or mounds. If you haven't seen harvester ant hills, maybe you've seen the round-topped hills that formica ants make. Sometimes they cover their hills with thatch. So depending on the ant, they make different kinds of homes. Some of them can make homes inside like a stick, like here. They make a door into the stick, into the little twig, and then they make a home there. Or they can make hills that are more flat, like that. Okay. Or you may have seen pavement ants. They can live under the sidewalk. So when you're walking on the street, there are some ants that live in the cracks of the streets. I've seen many of those before. Pavement ants are tiny ants. So they're quite tiny. Or there are carpenter ants who build their nests in rotting wood. So some ants build their nests in wood that is not very fresh and that's dying. So here there's an old log and there's ants living in it. There are small ant cities with just a few ants. There are big ant cities with many, many ants. Ants have been found at the tops of the highest buildings and on ships at sea. Ants can make their cities almost anywhere. Look around and you'll probably find an ant city busy with ants. The end. And so we are going to do an activity. Stay tuned.